As churches progress through the challenge of growing disciples inside ever-changing communities, it's amazing to witness how God orchestrates His will in the lives of congregations still seeking to share the gospel with their neighbors. In 1951, Orchard Hills Baptist Church was established in a growing neighborhood in South Garland and had a regular membership of 2,000 congregants before its decline. A new church plant, which began in 1983, called Ethiopian Evangelical Baptist Church, had grown so dramatically that their current location did not have adequate space for its members to continue growing and serving others. And in 2017, the Ethiopian Church planted Pathway Church as a next-generation English-speaking congregation that also met in their facilities.
There was a lot of challenges in the 90s and into the 2000s, just really some various challenges that led to a lot of decline, to the point that when I got there was probably about 115 people that were left in a sanctuary that seats about 1,500 people. And if you can imagine sitting in a sanctuary that size with, you just felt like there's just a lot of people missing in this place.
We reached out to Dallas Baptist Association to help us to discover what the solution might be. The first thing that we were asked to do was to pray for what God wanted us to do. We did pray, but that wasn't the end of it. We kept going through the process, and finally selling the church was what was left. Selling the church to us felt like it was something that we did want to do, but that was all that was left. We felt like we were a failure in that we were failing the community and we were failing God.
The Lord really spoke to me in a powerful way, and I carry this as a message to many people who want to do revitalization, that revitalization is not about revitalizing the fame and glory of that local church. Revitalization is about revitalizing the fame and glory of God and the gospel mission of the church. That key component of being there for the gospel mission and the glory of God what really shaped my ability, because I don't think that you can move forward as a pastor and lead your people to walk open-handedly to see what God has unless you really are there for something other than your own fame. You know, like if you're there for God's glory and the mission alone, then you're there to listen to what God has for you.
We started to have people returning Sunday morning for not having a parking lot, and the sanctuary began to be full, and our kids could not have enough space to go to Sunday schools. So we stayed, praying for maybe a year or two, and then we went to Dr. Bob Dean's office to seek for prayer help and find a solution for that. And to this day, I'm grateful visiting his office. I came back relieved because I shared my burden, and he prayed for me and for the church. After a while, he came back one morning to my office, and he said, we think we have a possible solution for the problem. And he talked about Orchard Hills, and we prayed together. Then it took us about 2 years. It was a long journey to work between the EEBC side and also Orchard Hills.
My congregants at that time were much older than I was, and so I was young and probably foolish in their eyes in certain ways, and so to bring somebody in with more wisdom and more experience and more
and older,
helped out a lot. Bob was able to come in and speak in a way that I just felt like they really listened. DBA was very influential, very helpful in that season.
The leadership decided, this property belongs to God. We are all stewards. They have been using it for the kingdom purpose as good stewards, and now they want, we have to do something about it. And we really talked seriously, honestly, and we were led to believe that we can coexist. They can stay as long as they want, and God can give them, revitalization again, or something. And in which time we can both use the facility for God's purpose, and we will be just fine. And we remembered the days we were a mission group for a big church using their one little room.
Yeah.
And God favored us then, and now it is time for us to favor who are in Christ.
What's unique about this particular ministry with Pathway is that we're all on the same grounds with both EEBC and Orchard Hills Baptist Church. At the time that EEBC acquired the Orchard Hills Baptist Church property was the time in which Pathway learned of Orchard Hills. We became acquainted. I began to build acquaintance and relationships with the leadership of Orchard Hills. And it's at that moment that we began to learn a little bit of the story surrounding Orchard Hills and how they got to where they did. Long story short, it ended up working out that I was able to arrive at a place where I'm pastoring Pathway along with being the preaching pastor for OHBC as well to this present day. And they're both a wonderful group of people, great congregation, and they really recognize that they can't go back and relive their heyday, but one thing that they can do is they can contribute through different means toward what God can do through this up-and-coming burgeoning generation.
There's another miracle that God did when we sold our old facility on Jupiter Road.
Yes.
We had a choice of two offers, one with an Indian church, another one with Hispanic-speaking congregation. But that Hispanic congregation couldn't offer us enough.
Yeah.
It was less money, but we decided to give them regardless because it is a Hispanic-dominated area.
Yes.
So we thought of the kingdom work and we gave them.
Yeah.
But when we moved to Orchard Hills facility, we had a lot of works to be done, and we don't have any money.
Right.
All our money went into their bank account.
Yeah.
So we were anxious what to do with this building renovation. But God supplied all our needs through that Hispanic group. They came and asked us, how can we help you?
Yeah.
So we said, give us laborers.
Yeah.
And they came and they did it. A work that was worth to spend about $2.5 million.
Yeah.
We were saved by half.
Oh, man.
By half. And God supplied us with that relationship.
I want to point out something that's real important. Both of the churches came to a kingdom way of looking at things. That good stewardship is asking the question, how can we maximize this facility for God's kingdom? Good stewardship is not, how can we get the highest price for this? That is not of a concern to God. He wants to know, how can we make a decision to get the greatest extension of His kingdom? And that's what both churches were doing.
Dallas Baptist Association is committed to planting churches, strengthening our existing churches, and reaching Dallas and Rockwall counties with the gospel of Jesus Christ.